From higher pay to better working conditions, bargaining is the most important activity of our union, along with enforcing the rules and the agreements that we've achieved through our bargaining. It's an ongoing and always active process. Once an agreement is successfully ratified and signed off on, Actra starts getting ready for the next round. Bargaining is a negotiation. The goal is to walk away with both sides feeling like they won. But that's not always possible. The reality is that while we have many issues to solve and improvements that we would like, we have to get the other side to agree as well. Whether it's our IPA, the Independent Production Agreement, which governs the majority of our TV and film projects, the NCA, the National Commercial Agreement, or the multitude of individual agreements with gaming studios, broadcasters like the CBC, or other entities, the process is roughly the same. And we'll find our team facing off against producers, their associations, and their legal teams. Actra Montreal will seek member feedback in a variety of ways, from surveys, one-on-one conversations, and focus groups. For example, for an upcoming IPA negotiation, we may form focus groups specifically for actors, for stunt coordinators and performers, background performers, parents of minor members, and more. The goal is to hear from working members as to what has been working well for them and what has not. The team needs to know what the issues are for Montreal. Once the member feedback is collected, Actra Montreal staff will draft language that reflects the issues raised and the improvements sought. These are submitted to the National Bargaining Team for inclusion in the wages and working conditions package of proposals for review by the full bargaining team. The composition of the bargaining team depends on many factors. How many members from each branch worked under the agreement, and what percentage of the earnings does the branch represent of the whole? Actra Montreal will then select members to represent Montreal at the negotiating table. This will include the primary voting members, as well as alternates, who are ready to step in case a primary is unavailable on one of the scheduled days. The Actra National President chairs the bargaining committee, and along with the Actra National Executive Director, provides guidance and strategy. Wages and Working is an important working group that involves the full negotiating team with representation from across the country. They comb through all of the submitted proposals and vote on a package to put forward across the table. For example, it's unrealistic to put forward 200 proposals. Priorities need to be established, and this is done by the members discussing each proposal and voting on which proposals go into the final package for the employer, producer, or engager. Ideally, prior to negotiations, both sides exchange their proposals, allowing both sides to consider, research, and discuss amongst themselves. This gives parties a better idea of where there may be mutually beneficial proposals or contentious and conflicting demands. Those usually end up being the major battles. It's time for Actra and the other party to get together in the same city face-to-face, or sometimes over Zoom, and have at it. Both sides present their proposals with their rationales. Over multiple sessions, the bargaining committees negotiate what ultimately makes it into the new agreement. Remember, bargaining is not just about what we're asking for and hoping to gain. It's often about rejecting, sometimes vehemently, what the other side is asking so that we can maintain our existing rights. Actra's goal is to improve working conditions and maintain fair wages for performers. That is often in direct conflict with the goals of the producer associations, who are seemingly always looking for ways to lower costs and get more for less. Once the negotiators from both sides reach a tentative agreement, the proposed changes are brought to the membership for a vote. Only members who meet the attachment to the workplace requirement may vote. This means, for example, you must have worked under the last CBC agreement to be eligible to vote on the new CBC agreement. If you haven't worked under it, you won't be on the voter list. While Actra members are voting, producers are doing the same with their own membership or board of directors. Both groups must approve the agreement, and ratification only happens if both sides achieve a majority yes vote. Before and during the voting period, Actra will share detailed information through town halls, through email updates, the Actra websites, and social media so you can make an informed decision. When voting closes, if 50% plus one of eligible Actra voters approve and the producers approve, the agreement is officially ratified. If either side votes no, the bargaining process continues if both parties are bargaining in good faith. Once ratified, the new terms take effect. That's the bargaining process in a nutshell. So, let's answer some of your frequently asked questions. Does the bargaining committee get paid? Yes. Bargaining members are paid an honorarium and provided with accommodation when travel is required. Does the Actra staff and legal team have an actual say in our negotiations? Staff and legal are there to guide and advise, but never to vote. They have no final say in how our bargaining committee proceeds, or how our membership votes. What they do contribute is their invaluable experience and expertise, They recommend strategy, provide data, administrative and logistical support to bring about the best results. What happens if an agreement is not reached before the old agreement expires? If negotiations are ongoing and there are signs that an agreement is within sight, both parties would follow the freeze period or may sign a memorandum of understanding, which can extend the current agreement for a period of time, so that work across the country is not interrupted. If both sides are too far apart and unable to agree, this is when we may be confronted with the possibility of a strike or a lockout. At any time, the bargaining committee may reach out to the membership and ask for a strike mandate. When given, this shows the other side that the members are united and support their bargaining team, which is a very powerful pressure point and can be the show of force they need to finally land the deal. These are robust topics on their own, and so we have made a separate video on those. Thanks for taking the time to learn about such a fundamental part of your union. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to your council members or to staff.